like to thank Google for Education and their partner Tech Valley, the lead sponsor for School of Tomorrow 2023, and our titanium sponsor, United Bank Limited. Other key sponsors include My Backpack, MK Books International, Allied Bank Limited, Habib Bank Limited, Watheen, and Interwood. We also thank our School of Tomorrow supporters, including Paramount Books and Nestle Pure Life, who have contributed to this year's event. My name is Mohammad Qasim Rahman, and I am an IGCSE and A-Levels mathematics teacher at Beacon House Potoha campus, Islamabad. Please take a moment to note these important housekeeping points. Please ensure your cell phones are on silent. In case of an emergency, the exit point is located at the back of this hall. You may use the staircase opposite to this hall. In case if it is blocked or packed, you may use the one on the right-hand side. Always stay calm and follow directions. Please use the SOT app to scan the QR code for session question answer and the feedback. Share your thoughts on social media using hashtags, hashtag Guardians of the Future, and hashtag SOT2023. If you need assistance, our ushers are here to help. The workshop will last for about an hour. I would like to introduce Mr. Iain Riley. Mr. Iain Riley is the head of school at TNS Beacon House DHA. He is an advocate of the student agency and promotes this not only across Beacon House, but also Pakistan, with his role as an IB Pakistan consultant and treasurer. He is an IB evaluation leader, program leader, workshop leader, and online facilitator. Mr. Iain has a master's in educational leadership, postgraduate in education, a bachelor's in history and English, and the certificate in education from Harvard University. He is also a visitor for the Middle States Association and the Council of International Schools.
Okay, now, good afternoon to everyone here. Now, this is, I'm not going to use a microphone. I don't think, can everyone hear me at the back? Yes. I thought you might be able to. So, it's my pleasure today to introduce three amazing people very, very quickly behind me. They will introduce themselves for agency purposes. So we have Abdullah Mustafa, who's a student of mine at TNS. We have Ibrahim Rashid, again a student of mine at TNS. And then a friend of mine, and also, in many ways, a boss, stroke critical friend of mine from the IB, Mr. Florian Ciprian Baciu. I had to practice saying that for a long time. Now, before we start anything today, what I would like is for a video to be shown. And once the video's been shown, I'm going to explain to you why. Video, please.
Hi, I'm Mustafa from grade 9.
Hi, I'm Anal Gulzar from grade 9.
And welcome to TNS DHA.
From heated MYB basketball games to intense football games between the teams.
The school ground represents unity of all our students.
Hi, I'm Musa. I'm an MYP4 art student. Hi, I'm Zarar. I'm an MYP4 music student. This is the art space, or how we see it as an art student's getaway from the rigor of a school event. We like to pour our hearts out through loud music.
Or sit for a peaceful still life art session. Stay still.
And at the end of the hall, you'll find our differently abled students.
This is the multi-purpose hall, an extension of the art basement,
where we hold multiple student events. Sometimes students really make the hall live up to its multi-purpose names.
The art basement and multi-purpose hall represent an open space for our students' freedom of self-expression.
This is our early years and primary years library.
Home to the
mysterious minds of the little ones here at campus. Hey buddy, what you reading?
The Book of Greek Myths.
That's cool.
It's a library.
Here is where our PYP students hold their IT classes.
Here is where our PYP students learn important 21st century skills for our future of learning and technology.
And now, we head to the biggest trek of all.
The third floor library. Here, the DP students find a quiet place to do self-study in their free lessons.
Or just to get Shh. The library is a place of tranquility in our school.
A place where our students celebrate independence and peace. Here at DNS, our acquisition of knowledge begins at a very young age.
I learned to count money. I learned art. I learned IT. I've learned languages.
I learned how to get out of my comfort zone.
I've learned how to cooperate with other students.
I've learned to be eco-friendly. I've learned how to respect my teachers.
I learned how to collaborate.
I learned the art of filmmaking.
I learned how to code.
And that was DNS.
Class dismissed.
Did I edit the video? Did I have anything to do with the script of the video? They did everything themselves, and they showed us the final product. Right? This is the power of the student. So when we look at student agency in the IB, in Cambridge, it doesn't matter. In any school, we have to talk about voice, choice, and ownership. Okay, at the end of the day. It is something that I'm very proud of and an advocate for in Pakistan. And today is nothing to do with me. Okay, it's to do with these two wonderful individuals behind us. They're going to tell you a story at the end of the day, and it's their story. Because at the end of the day, having been at the Learner Agency Paradigm Conference that was founded because of TNS Monologue Slam, we need to come up with a reflective idea on what student agency actually is. Student agency is different in every school due to the context, due to the people that you have. It changes. There is no one definition for everybody, all right? So I'm going to hand over now to the two amazing kids who are going to go through their journey. They're going to give you some reflective questions that you need to look at, because you're going to have to discuss this either now or later in your groups. And then if we have time at the end, we're going to give you an activity which will help guide your schools with your own ideas on how you can achieve student agency for the future. So please give a big hand of applause for
So, can we first have the presentation on, please? Our presentation. Okay, so my name is Ibrahim Rashid. I'm a student of DP2 at DNS. I'm also the head boy of DNS.
And I'm Abdullah Mustafa. I'm the Science Site President at DNS.
So, as Mr. Riley said, we're going to give you our story. We're going to tell you our experience with student agency, what we've learned, and what we've achieved up to now. But before I start that, I'd like to start with the person I know. Back in grade 10, I'm in grade 12 right now, so for those of you not familiar with the IB classroom system. Back in grade 10, our teacher came in class. So she came with a long list of project ideas for an MYP middle year's end of year project. I looked at the list, and quite frankly, I was not interested in it. I was like, it's a bit boring. But so I went to her, I plucked up the courage, I went to her, I told her, Miss, can I do something else? And what she said was I was quite amazed by it. She's like, Ibrahim, the list was meant to give you an idea of what you can do. It was meant for an aid. You don't have to copy what's on the list. it's what you want to do. And that there was one of the most memorable learning experiences I've ever had. Certainly not because of the grade I got. I can assure you that the grade wasn't that beautiful. But because I had a say in my learning. And that was my first experience with student agency.
A second opportunity for student agency came around when we got to know about a challenge known as the Conrad Challenge, which is a very prestigious international challenge. We were very enthusiastic about signing up. We even chose our team, and we chose to participate in the environment category, which really resonated with the team members. But reality soon hit us when we realized that we actually had to come up with a tangible solution to a real world problem, to a global problem. And that's where we had to research a lot. And research we did. It took endless time. Hours blurred into days, and days blurred into weeks, and still no luck. At first, we did come up with a solution, and that was to extract hydrogen from salt water to use as fuel and to use as a clean source of energy. But seeing the complexity, we decided to stick to the basics. I look towards environment as, ever since I was a child, I was very fond of the environment, and I've been trying to take initiatives to take care of the environment, planting trees and whatnot. So I noticed how the clear skies of my childhood were giving way to a gray haze. The air quality was deteriorating, and so was our health. And that's when I thought, what can I do to make a difference? And that question laid the foundations for Breathe Easy.
Well, so we know you guys don't know what Breathe Easy is, and you probably won't know with this picture as well, but that there is an air purifier.
That's our second prototype. It's a very rudimentary model right now, but I assure you it works, and it works really well.
And this is our story. This is what we're here to talk about. And now, Abdullah has already told you about the inception of the Breathe Easy idea, of how it came to be. It came to be because of an international competition known as the Conrad Challenge. The Conrad Challenge, it's a very prestigious international competition founded in America, so it's basically California-based and NASA-funded. So while we were applying, we were like, okay, next March, we're going to be spending time having lunch with NASA scientists.
We started daydreaming. Well.
And so basically, let's start with the idea. Now, what was different with us, and a problem we faced was that we registered for the competition before we had an idea. So normally, you cater a solution to a problem. We catered a problem to a solution. But so with Breathe Easy, the idea came to be that Abdullah and I, we spent endless hours researching, and then we live in Lahore. And in Lahore, the smog is absolutely awful. The AQI reaches 400, PM 2.5 levels are through the roof.
And going outside gives you a very bad headache.
And more importantly, they affect cognitive development. And I don't know about you guys, but my brain, I think it's one of the most powerful things I have. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And so basically, that's where we thought, why not? That's where we started learning about air purifiers. Wow, air purifiers exist. But when we researched about air purifiers, when we got into it, we learned that current air purifiers, they cost more than the average person's monthly salaries.
Most low-income and middle-class families can't afford air purifiers, with air purifiers prices going above 60K, which is more than a family's monthly income, a middle-class family's monthly income.
And the thing is, the only respite for our smog-ridden country, air purifiers, they contribute to the very issue they're trying to solve. Your conventional air purifier, it runs on HEPA filters. What are HEPA filters? Plastics. As the market growth trends, they're projected to increase exponentially. And with that, plastic pollution is expected to increase as well. And we'll tell you the mechanics later of our air purifier. I think we're going to go to the research.
Okay. Every groundbreaking problem only becomes real with a lot of extensive research, a lot of extensive validation and testing. And for Ibrahim and I, this process was both very exhaustive and also enlightening. Since the start, we found ourselves in a vast domain of environmental solutions. It was very easy to get overwhelmed, but we were driven by a singular vision: to revolutionize air purification. Diving deep into the world of air purification, we encountered numerous studies, white papers, a lot of patents as well, and with every single web page we opened, every single research study we went through, that unlocked a different piece of the entire puzzle. And we were absorbing the collective wisdom of an entire industry, which was a very, very difficult task. But with every iteration, we got closer and closer to making our final product.
So now we've already mentioned that air purifiers, conventional air purifiers, they run HEPA filters. HEPA filters are bad. So how does our air purifier run? It runs on water. So what we've done is we've used our amazing mechanical engineering and electrical engineering
especially
skills,
our artistic skills.
our amazing grade 10 physics, what we learned in grade 10 physics class. And what we manufactured is a water air purifier which runs on water.
There's three main purification components. First of all, the water passes through the pipe where there's 3 millimeter holes. The air basically dissolves into the water, and that's where most of the PM10 particles, most of the PM2.5 particles get absorbed. The air basically gets washed.
So basically, for example, in an aquarium, there's things known as bubble diffusers. They increase the solubility of water with air. And that's the exact mechanics we're using for our air purifier.
But when the air goes through the water, there's still 2 more filtering components. As you can't see in that photo, but
so the PVC pipe you can see, there are 2 extra filters. One's a cellulose sponge. And the sponge functions exactly how a sponge functions. It absorbs all, and now I know it's going to sound a bit weird, but it does absorb all dust, pollen, and it does not let it pass. And towards the end, we have vetiver. Vetiver is a very good, it's a plant which has shown in research that it has the ability to stop and help purify air.
What it does is that it absorbs like all the volatile organic compounds from the air, such as nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, all of that. It's very harmful for our health. And
more importantly, it acts as a natural air freshener as well. So it's an air purifier and it's an air freshener. So, but it didn't look like that during the beginning. It looked like this.
That might look like a lot of scribbles to you, but this was the start of our startup. This is how we started, and
so,
there's a pros and cons list there as well.
We put in a lot of effort doing the drawings. I can personally say that this is my handwriting, and, and the model I've drawn. And so right now we're going to talk about the setbacks we experienced while we were in the process of making it. So initially, all was going very well. We thought we're brilliant students, we're MIT standard. Next year, we're coming for you, MIT. We started sourcing the components. We already thought that, okay, we're using PVC. PVC is it's not sustainable, but it's better than other plastics. It's made from recycled materials. So we started sourcing the PVC compounds, the PVC sheets, PVC pipes. That's where we encountered our first major setback, the air blower. Now, in conventional air purifiers, they use normal centrifugal fans. But because the air has to fight the water to get out, we need a heavy-duty air blower.
And the air needs to come with a lot of pressure to pass through the air. If the air isn't pressurized enough, the air just refuses to go through the air. So we needed a heavy-duty blower that passed air with a lot of pressure.
So in this setback, we had 2 problems to solve. One was the energy problem. How can we claim that our air purifier is sustainable when it uses 3 times the energy of a normal air purifier? And the second one, you don't find air blowers in Pakistan. Nowhere. We went to markets, we scoured markets we've never heard the name of, Bilalganj, whatnot, old second-hand stores.
Yeah.
That's where we found a second-hand air blower. It wasn't as efficient as the ones we were looking for, but we already knew that, okay, if this thing works, we can always import it from China.
What it allowed her to do is it allowed her to test our product, our first prototype. Without it, we wouldn't be able to do.
So we did source air blower. We did manufacture it in a normal warehouse, and that's where we encountered our second setback.
The second setback was finances. With limited capital and no one to fund us, we couldn't take the risks other startups could. We couldn't order air blowers from China because the minimum order requirement for those was way beyond our budget. We also couldn't make new iterations of the prototype every single time we wanted to add stuff. And we also couldn't get an air quality monitor to test the efficacy of product because even that was out of our budget. But with deep thought and help from our school faculty, we were able to overcome most, if not all, of these.
The school funded our project. They bought us an air quality monitor.
I don't remember that.
And we also decided to make additions to previous prototypes instead of making entirely new ones to keep finances in mind.
And that's where we encountered our third major setback, time. Well, everyone says time is money. For us, time is our future. Well, I have MYP exams, school homeworks, which I really do, DP exams, SATs, and then managing our venture along with it, very difficult.
Yep.
So what we had to do was that Abdullah and I to have meetings, we had to schedule them. Like, it was so odd. Abdullah here is a very close friend of mine. I had to tell him, okay, we're going to have a meeting at 2 p.m. in school. All our other friends, they were like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? Can't you just meet each other over here? But we had to manage our time very well.
As you can see, this was our first prototype. It was a very big milestone in our journey, but there were a few very big problems with it. First of all, it was a bit too big. We couldn't fit it anywhere, and no one would buy something like this. And second of all, it used too much energy. The fan you see there, that's a 600-watt fan. So we went entirely back to the drawing board. We reduced the size, and we also reduce the energy consumption so that when consumers buy it, their electricity bills don't just like, the air purifier might be cheap, but when the electricity bill comes and it's like 20,000 more, that wouldn't be a good thing, right? So we changed that, we reduced the size, and we made it more portable as well.
Into this one. So we've changed this one, where we've used a more efficient DC air blower. In it, we've changed the dynamics of it as well. We've made it smaller, and then we've used a lot of physics in it as well. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritties because it isn't patented as of now, so I don't want people stealing our idea. Now to the milestones.
There were a lot of milestones throughout our journey. The first one, as I mentioned, was the prototype itself, the first working prototype. It was nothing short of euphoric. It represented all our hard work, all our dreams, all the work we put into it. But even though we won the Condor Challenge with that prototype, that still wasn't enough. We looked for opportunities all around us, and that's when we learned about incubation centers. Being accepted into NIC, National Incubation Center Lahore, Cohort 12, was another significant achievement. We were very intimidated at first, seeing how everyone there was an adult, as you can see in the photo. They had been working on the startups for years and years and years, and we were just novices. We just started. But this ended up being a very...
And there were many awkward conversations as well. So we were the only school students. Most of them were either in their master's, done with their bachelor's. So I was there. I met this student, not a student, he was a LUMS graduate, LUMS undergraduate. He came sat with me, he's like, okay, what school, where are you from? I told him, I'm in school. He's like, oh. And then he looked at me with this despair, and he's like, oh, you have nothing to lose. And I didn't know what to say. I was like, he's like, I put all my work into this all my life. I put all my savings. I'm like, good for you.
But this actually ended up being a very great learning opportunity for us, because these guys had spent the work, and we could learn from them. We could learn from their setbacks, and we could avoid them ourselves. Because not only did NIC provide us with education from industry experts, but also gave us access to their Makers Lab, which is a lab filled with machinery such as 3D printers, CNC machines, and that helped us turn our drawings into a tangible product.
And not only did it help in our venture, it helped in our school life as well. I can confidently say, because of NIC's classes, I'm one of the best business students in my class. Trust me.
I'm not so sure about that, but... But while being incubated at ISCL, we had classes such as design thinking and sales, which were especially catered towards startups. And as we were just high school students and not university graduates with a degree, these classes gave us education that no one else could provide us with at the time.
Then we tried to apply for another incubation center known as Spark Tank. Well, again, we heard about Spark Tank from Mr. Riley. He told us to apply for it. And we were like, okay, we're already done with all the very long, excruciating work writing answers. We just had to copy-paste them into Spark Tank. But there are two things different about Spark Tank with NIC. Spark Tank was meant for students like us. So we were like, okay, we feel more welcome. On the downside, we were not going to get out of our comfort zone if you compare it to NIC. But still, we were going to make good friendships. And on second hand, a very good advantage of Spark Tank was they offered funding. And I can proudly say that they've offered up to 1 million rupees for us to spend on our venture. This brings us to the IB Global Youth Action Fund. The IB Global Youth Action Fund, I think you guessed it already. Mr. Riley told us about it as well. We applied for it. And this was in chronological order. It was after NIC and before Spark Tank.
Yeah, up until now, we're incubated at NSC and we're also with Spark Tank.
But we still didn't have any funding. So we're not in Spark Tank as of now. We were in the NIC, they don't offer funding. But that's when we heard about IB Global Youth Action Fund. So we put a lot of research into it. We found out that not only are they offering classes for us to understand social entrepreneurship, how to start our businesses, mentors, but they're also offering funding. And with that, we asked for $2,990.
They were offering up to $3,000, but we went a little low. We were $2,990.
No, with the $2,990, trust me, we did a lot of calculation. So we thought we need to make our business self-sustaining. These opportunities don't come as often as one would like to think they do. So we thought we need to make this opportunity count. And that's when we thought, let's make 50 air purifiers. We sell them, and then we have enough funding to take it forward.
Yeah, the 2990 estimate was not just a random number. It was the amount of money we would need to source and produce 50 units of our air purifier. And we thought that if we could produce 50 and then sell them, we could self-sustain our business with the money we get from those profits.
This was before Spark Tank. So even if the IB gave us $1,500, I was going to be very content. We had 0 rupees to our name by then. But thankfully, we got $2,990. And a disclaimer, we're legally obligated to spend it in the same way we've said. So no fancy dinners or like buying expensive gadgets.
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to, now we're done with our example. This was our story with air purification.
But we're not the only ones taking. Okay.
So we're still in the process of our air purifier business. It just started. So our fingers are crossed, and when we launch it, all of you are potential customers. Yeah. It's Breathe Easy, look us up. Okay, so now we're going to move. We were not the only people who started student agency events at our school, and we were not the first ones. One name which should not be left out when we talk about student agency is Yahya Qayyum Khan. I really believe he pioneered student agency in our school. This is TNS Monologue Slam, and it has its 4th iteration. Now, before I start explaining what it is, I want to talk a bit about Yahya, his passions, what he did, and how he did it. So Yahya Qayyum is my class fellow. Yahya really likes acting. He can go on and on about the latest Marvel movies, and he critiques about how Scarlett Johansson, when she was falling to her death, she didn't show enough emotion. Okay. But Yahya also participated in international acting competitions, monologues to be particular. He was very good at it. He used to reach finalist rounds in international monologue competitions. Now, what Yahya knew that he couldn't spend as much time as he wanted to for his acting career. He was also a school student like us. He had many school commitments, many exams to look forward to. But Yahya Qayyum Khan, what he did was that he wanted his school students to share his passion for acting. And that's when he thought about localizing the international monologue slam into Pakistan. Start small and then expand. So he brought that idea to our school. He talked to the school. Now, let me tell you how it happened. He came to school. He told Mr. Riley, he told the school admin, okay, I want to do this. Please help me. And what should I go about it? So it was all Yahya's idea. By the end of the day, we're still students. We learn from our mistakes, but we also need guidance. And that's when Yahya started the Monologue Slam. And now Monologue Slam has grown into a very successful chain. The director for Tifa and Trouble, he was one of the judges for his Monologue Slam. He has international participants as well. It's not only local now. It has gone international. And not only that, Yahya has pioneered a passion of acting in Pakistan. I think he's not only subject to our school anymore. Yep. He's transcended the boundaries of TNS into Lahore, into Punjab, and into Pakistan.
With students from schools all around Lahore and also all around Pakistan participating in the TNS Monologue Slam now.
Now we want to go to another example from our school.
But I would like to attest that Yahya's Monologue Slam is extremely entertaining. I love whenever it happens. The participants are amazing, and Yahya himself is also very good at acting, and I would recommend that you guys also take part in the TNS Monologue Slam when it happens next.
Okay, MUN sessions.
Like Yahya, Chen is also a student that needs to be mentioned. Chen is one of the best MUN debaters that TNS has ever seen. But he was not born with the skill. He learned the skill by attending multiple MUN events over the years, multiple prestigious events, including Lumen from LUMS. And that's how he learned the skill. But what he did is very, very simple. He took something he was good at, and he spread that knowledge to others. What he did was he visited multiple underprivileged as well as privileged schools, and he taught their debate teams the art of debating. And these teams later went on to win multiple prestigious MUN events.
So now here's what Chen did. In our school, before Chen, debates is something we really look forward to in our school. MUNs, there isn't some sort of MUN culture. Now Chen came from BDC, Beacon House Defense Campus, and he was very associated with MUNs. He did not like debates. Now one thing we need to mention is that Yaya, Chen, all of these people we're talking about, they got the necessary skills to teach others. They didn't just wake up one day and like, okay, I like MUNs, you're gonna like them too, and I'm gonna teach you like that. No, they were skillful. Chen, he had participated in more than 10, 20, 30 MUN competitions, and then he came to school and he founded his own MUN club. Now the MUN club is in his second year, and Chen still runs it. He's a teacher. He is our school's MUN teacher.
At the start, the MUNs were not a big part of the TNS culture, but under Chen's leadership, MUNs have really grown, and we now send delegations all around Lahore to multiple MUN events.
And this is the culture that has started in our school. It's not that, I think most of you are familiar that in Lahore, in Punjab, when you look at inter-school competitions, you see that the admin handles it. They are on their 10th iteration, 20th iteration. You look at all these competitions.
But that's not what student agency is. Student agency is when students take their own initiative about something they're passionate about.
Because when I think about it, it's like, it hinders innovation. It hinders innovation, and it hinders progress. Because if I'm not interested in something, why would I want to do it? And here, you're the innovator. Chen started his MUN sessions. Now, another thing I would like to mention in our school last year held its first language festival. A student of ours, Natalia Ahmed, she was very interested in languages, learning languages, and the importance they had on one's character. So what she did was, she's like, okay, I want to start a language competition, because she was already familiar with different language competitions. She participated internationally, nationally, inter-school, and that's when she started our school's own language festival. So what I'm trying to explain is that the competition, inter-school or inter-school competition, the co-curricular culture in our school is not teacher mandated. It's that our school, our students, whatever they want to do, whatever they're passionate about, they start it.
Even in TNS Language Festival, TLF for short, the school administration did not dictate what we did. As I was the Urdu head for that event, and I can attest that I made up the events myself. They were extremely fun, and yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
And we are looking forward to next year as you would.
Yeah, we're doing it again next year as well.
Okay, so I think these are the questions I believe that we really wanted to, like the impact we wanted to make was that if you could just give these questions a read and think about how they impact you.
You guys can discuss amongst yourself as well.
And then we're going to move on to the short activity. Yeah. Yeah, okay, we're moving on to the feedback session right now. I think I'll take a seat.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure all of you will see, that the students, and I'm saying the students because actually it has nothing to do with me, that all students, doesn't matter if it's TNS, Newlands, Beacon House, City Schools, Angels, have agency. They can lead things themselves. At the end of the day, us as facilitators can guide. We cannot tell them what to do, right? Gone are the days. Now, all of us here probably went through the Cambridge system, yeah? Me from the UK, okay, apart from yourself, yeah? And, in many ways, it was that chalk and talk didactical approach to learning and teaching. Things have changed. Actually, things haven't changed. Things have gone round in a circle. If you empower your students and give them that voice, choice, and ownership, They can go anywhere. Yeah? So if you look, for example, at TNS, every single club, every single society is run by students, not by us. We don't even elect them. Okay? Because gone are the traditional systems of this as well. So when it came to the Breathe Easy, the little dog, I call it, yeah? When it came to the students coming up with their ideas, there was a lot of discussion. But to be fair, I have no idea about physics or chemistry. And I hate physics and chemistry. So I just sat there and went, interesting. Yeah, please go ahead and do it. Because I'm like, I have no idea. Right? And we did support. You know, of course, we helped them contact Beacon House Energy Limited and different societies, but they all did the rest, everything themselves. That is the power of the student. Now, a man who's very, very passionate about this subject, because we had an online meeting a few weeks ago, and we've been talking about it for years, and something I'm passionate about. Now, when I came to TNS 4 years ago, I brought it in from DP down, all the way to PYP, in many of our schools across Beacon House. Right? Now, I'm an actual primary year specialist, so I should have done it the other way, but I didn't. Right? Now, it's interesting because Florian is more of a DP, MYP, a DP really specialist, right? So I'm going to hand over, because he's going to have some really interesting things to say. So please give a big round of applause to this
Thank you so much, Ian. It's hard to follow that, but it really reminds us what we are in schools to do is to fuel the passion of students and to support their potential. My work at the IB usually centers around heads of schools and coordinators and very rarely groups of educators. So having this opportunity to engage with you young people was quite special. So I thank you for that. It's a great learning opportunity. At the IB, we believe
I never knew I had a microphone.
And you definitely didn't need one. At the IB, we truly believe in the power of young people to change the world and to make this world a better place, not just for themselves, but to other people around them. So Abdullah Mustafa and Ibrahim Rashid are the awardees, the only ones from Pakistan in 2023 for the Global Youth Action Fund, which was thought as a pathway for action as part of a bigger project that we have, the Festival of Hope, that you might have heard of in IB schools. So what I wanted to give them an opportunity is to delve even deeper into this experience, because a lot has happened and we were quite impressed with the work that you have done. We're inspired and we respect your passion and excitement for change, improvement, and learning. What I'm still curious about is for you maybe to share with us a few things you have learned about yourselves and your community or communities as you were working on Breathe Easy. Maybe start with Abdullah. Tell us about what you've learned about yourself and about the community you live in.
For the air purifier, we did a lot of market research especially, and that's where we got to know the most about our community. We learned that air purifiers are usually not that, people can't buy them. They're not accessible. And we learned about how the monthly income of most families is under 50K, and that's, the air purifiers at that time cost even more than that. And that's where we found the problem, and that's what we tried to solve with our startup.
About yourself as a person.
I think myself, I found that I'm not as good as at engineering as I thought I was. We had to talk to a lot of experts to get the air purifier working, because in the start we thought that we would be able to make it ourselves and we wouldn't need to ask anyone, but we found ourselves going to a lot of workshops, a lot of experts, and that's where we really got to know how we could start with our startup.
Individualized learning and agency is personal. So what have you learned about yourself?
So about myself, I think I've been able to understand my weaknesses most of all. I get very nervous in public situations. Not in like conversations. Conversations are fine. But when I'm been brought up to stage and I have to tell people about something, tell people about my story, like right now, about myself, what I've learned, that's when I get very nervous. And that's one weakness I've been able to narrow down. Another thing I've learned about myself is that I can't do things basically, you can't do things alone. Now, I used to think, okay, for example, in MYP, I thought, okay, all of this I've done by myself. All of this, okay, I'm the only person who's been the major support. No, that's not it. In that scenario, it was my parents. So I just, as most children do, I hope, they take their parents for granted, and that's what I did as well. But when I came to DP and with Breathe Easy and the experience with Breathe Easy, I had Abdullah for help. I had the principal for help. I did not do anything alone. And that's what I learned. And you need people around you.
It does take a village. And when the village is diverse, look at us, 4 males on stage talking about science and education. Just think about that. Another thing I wanted to ask about is about the impact maybe that this will have on your lives longer term. Because I envision something that's so important to you as young people are fueling passions, desires, and plans for the longer term. So tell us a bit about what are you thinking this will lead to? What are some of your plans to continue with this work beyond school and outside of school, and in terms of your lives as citizens of this country and of the world? How do you think you will be able to use, leverage, develop, and continue to learn and innovate as you move forward in life?
So our plan is that we tend to keep working on our startup even after school ends. We plan to hopefully make breathable air accessible to all. So our future plans include we're gonna keep working on our startup. We're gonna keep making air purifiers, and hopefully, if it all works out, we're gonna be doing this in 5-6 years' time as well.
One thing I've learned is that you take a problem in mind. You don't get in love with a solution. You get attached to a problem, because sometimes the solution isn't good enough. For example, a month from now, I find out, okay, my air purifier is not viable. I'll discard it, and without a second of thought. Of course, I'll discard it. Why should I hang on to something which is dead? That's the thing. That's what I think I've learned, that this problem, that's what I'm going to keep in mind. If the air purifier thing is not viable, I'll move on to something else. And one more thing, I can't stress this enough, is that opportunities exist. They don't just get you on a silver platter. For example, before, I had no idea that initiatives by the IB or Spark Tank or NIC were accessible to me as a student. But when I got out, I started researching, learning. There are so many opportunities available. So many. There's so many that Abdullah didn't apply because we don't have the time. And that's one thing I'll keep with me forever. As I move on to further stages of life, I'll be okay, I need to get out of my comfort zone, start researching for myself. Nothing's going to come to me on a silver platter. And I think that's one thing I'll carry on. As for the air purifier, if hopefully, inshallah, it's successful, then we will try to make a system here, because both of us were aiming, so a bit of context, we're aiming to get into university abroad next year. We're in our last year of school. So if we go abroad, we're trying to, if our air purification business is successful, we'll try to set up a system. So when we leave, it still continues. It's not only about the profit. When I started this, I never had the money in mind. I never thought that, okay, I'll get this much money, and what do you call it, shake chili. I was never like, okay, I'm going to sell 50, then I'm going to sell 100, then I'm going to sell 200. No, never. I was like, it was always a learning experience, and I think these learning experiences are so important because they help you grow as a person, and because success isn't just amassing a lot of wealth. I think success is being knowledgeable, and that's what I've learned.
As you can see, this fire, this excitement doesn't come from the teacher standing there and knowing everything and telling them what to do. So I will let them continue to reflect with you on what you can do. As you're looking at your students might be different, might be coming from different social backgrounds, might have different needs, desires, and dreams. So it'll be interesting for you to start thinking, what is my role to sustain, encourage, listen, over-listen, and inspire kids to do good in their society? Thank you for this reflection. To you and to you for being so engaged.
Thank you, Florian, for your reflection to the students there. One thing I would say to follow on from what Florian was saying, you know, one of the most important things as educators is the connection and the trust with students. If you do not have that connection and trust with students, agency cannot happen. If you want it to really work and involve all stakeholders, you've got to have the triangulation with the parents as well, so that all stakeholders are involved. You know, having gone or travelled around so many Beacon House schools and looked at student agency, but also travelling around as an MSA visitor, as a CIS visitor, and having looked into how schools do it. We all do it, but we do it differently. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, you know, they wanted us to do a definition of what is student agency. I don't have a definition of student agency. I'm very clear about what it is in my school and what the culture is in my school, but it's unique to you. And that's what you have to do. These two students, yes.
So we're taking this as a learning experience for us as well. You're not the only ones learning. We want to take maximum benefit out of this as well. So what we wanted to do was, like the short activity, what it meant was that we wanted to understand, as Mr. Riley said, the learner agency, student agency culture at your schools, and what counts as student agency in your schools. So if anyone wants to give examples, first discuss in your own groups, and we'd love to hear that. Yeah. I think we'd move on to that.
Absolutely.
If someone could open the reflection questions on the screen, that would help a lot as well.
You can just open the presentation and I'll...
Presentation, please.
Yeah. So these are the reflection questions. You can choose 1 to 2 questions. You have 5 to 6 minutes to discuss within yourselves, and then we'd love to hear them towards the end. Yes?
Ibrahim, there's something that I want to say. It's not a question,
Yeah.
but it's just something that I feel right now. That, you know, you coming from Lahore, a city of, 30 million people, and having studied at TNS, on top of that, doing IBDP, okay, which is a sort of curriculum that basically works, focuses on project learning, project-based learning. So as happy and as proud as I feel about you, I also feel sad about all the students who do not have access to these opportunities because of the assessment system that we have.
Yeah.
And, generally the dynamics of the city that they're living in.
Well, the thing is that one thing Abdullah and we don't deny is that we come from privilege, and we've had the privilege of studying at TNS. We don't deny it. The thing is, but what we want to do is we want to have maximum impact, the maximum good we can do for others using our privilege. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I have this, I have that. What I think that what I want to do is how can I use my privilege for the betterment of others?
And wherever you are in your context, in whatever curriculum you do, what is the best next step you can take so students can develop more agency? So if we go back to those questions, take a few minutes to discuss. In my school, this would work. Definitely not what they've done in their school, but I think this would be a good idea. And as you listen to others at your table, come up with a few ideas of what you think would be actionable steps to move forward. Go for it.
The last thing I would say on that as well, just to answer any points. Yes, I'm IB. Yeah, I used to be Cambridge. Yeah, Florian, I'm still me at the end of the day. It's got nothing to do with the IB, right? You need to get that out of your heads. It's something that you bring into the school. Yeah?
Good education has no name, and you in your context can make the best decisions for your students. So please discuss at your tables and tell us what would work in terms of agency in your school, and we'll bring the microphone in 4 minutes so we can hear from you too. Go.
I said that because one of my children, one goes to an IB program and one is in Cambridge. So I can see the difference in my house. Like literally.
Thank you for engaging in your table conversations. Go.
4 minutes.
Third time. Let's go.
Okay, guys, we're going to come around with the microphone, and whoever wants the opportunity to speak about what we've discussed, please, you have this.
Thank you so much. It's a real different perspective, I must say. It's about a mindset, and I think so it's achievable. It's just achievable just like this, that even, rather than assigning things to children, giving them the opportunity to think about what do they want to do. And that's possible anywhere, anytime. So even if, giving them a topic for a morning assembly, it's an enlightenment. It's given an encouragement that there can be things done by using the 3 keywords that I've just picked it up for Ryan's, like, voice, choice, and the ownership. So that's, we need to change our mindset. And when the mindset is changed, I think so that's the children like you are prominent everywhere. Thank you so much.
Yes, I think that's what the main idea is. You need to make the children you need to allow them to make their own decisions. Yeah. And that's how they get things done. Oh, sorry.
Of course, first of all, very well done, Ibrahim and Mustafa. I am more interested in the part of the physics because as a physics teacher, I would like to ask, regarding your project, where we can find all the details. Do you have any platform or anything in your hand that we can share with our students with all the steps, with the things that you have presented in your PPT? And by the way, are we going to get a free air purifier in the future as our listeners? Thank you.
Well, for that, you can invite us to your schools, and we'd love to show up, and we'd love to discuss.
Also, we do have a YouTube video that explains the whole process of the air purification.
One more question.
If you just Google Breathe Easy, or if you search it on YouTube, you can get a video of our whole process and how we did everything. And yep.
So we have one last question. Does anyone? One last comment. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. All the time in Beacon House, we talk about independent learner. So I think moving on the same perspective, we need to change the mindset. Students should not come with the problem, but we need to train them. They should come up with the problem and the solution, and we need to scaffold, and we need to guide them through asking questions which would lead them towards the solution. So it does not depend on the age or the level or the class or the gender. If we are trained, we can train them in a well manner.
Okay, so the final thing, oh dear, we're on 0 seconds. That means the whole manager's going to have a heart attack again. All right, the final thing that I would say is let it go, right? Now, I was doing a workshop at Crescent Model High a few weeks ago. I actually made them sing Let It Go by Frozen. Right? It was highly entertaining, not part of an IB workshop. You didn't hear that. But at the end of the day, it is that trust, it's a connection, it's all of this. Now, what I would like, Ambreen, what I would like is for all of us, please, to give, not me, not Florian, but these two, a big round of applause. And the last word that I would say, because you know the AQI is really bad in Lahore at the moment. I turned around to them last week and said, we need more air purifiers at TNS. So we've actually said that we will buy 20 of their air purifiers. And now Kasim Kazuri is now speaking to me every day. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.